Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, 27 minutes ago, tweeted, the Cowboys not expected to be one of the teams vying for Earl, so the Cowboys-Thomas love affair ends here. For the record, you're not confirming that report to be true before we move on.
Exactly. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no idea what he's talking about. Okay, the only one that knows that is me, standing right here.
That's Jerry Jones talking about one of his employees, at least 1/32nd of an employee, because the owners own NFL Network. So that was a little awkward, to say the least. But Jerry Jones said it.
That implies, it shows that, you talked about the question in the first segment, right? About, maybe that just showed you that there was a conversation before they came on air. He already knew he was going to rebuttal the Ian Rappaport thing. So, I don't know, just stood out to me. Sorry about that.
You're right. No, you're right. That one stood out even more glaringly. That was a good catch by you. Right. And that further confirms that maybe all the topics were vetted ahead of time with suggested questions for Jerry Jones. And look, when you're Jerry Jones, if that's what you want, obviously that's what you get. And 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, not going to blink, not going to push back, not going to do anything that keeps them from having Jerry Jones on their station twice a week, because every time he's on, he makes news. And the news yesterday that the Cowboys, according to Jones himself, not necessarily closing the door. And why would you close the door on anybody? Why would you?
Right.
Why do it? There's no reason to slam the door and nail it shut unless it's just someone who is flat out contemptible and you're trying to send the message that you want nothing to do with that human being. Other than that, there's no reason. There's no reason to tell the world that you're not going to do it, and you never know what's going to happen. You could lose all your safeties to injury that day, and there could be no one else out there that you can sign, and maybe you can get Earl Thomas for a steal because he wants to play for you, and he's otherwise not getting any interest. So why would you slam the door, Chris? I'm with you, and it did feel like it was something that was specifically set up, and Jerry Jones knocked it down.
Yeah, he knocked it down. This is a guy that he's obviously, had his eye on for quite some time, so I'd be shocked if he just shut the door on that conversation. We've heard Earl Thomas of the Dallas Cowboys for the last, 2 years, 3 years at least, right? We've heard that kind of talk. So obviously there's some common love there. But the big thing is, and why I don't think you also can slam the door shut is, if you look at the Cowboys roster, safety is probably one of the bigger questions there is. Who are going to be the two safeties? Xavier Woods, he's a little bit like an Earl Thomas, a smaller guy who can fly around the field and throws his body around, right? But who is going to be that other guy? Is it Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix? Is it Darian Thompson? I don't know. Either one of those, they're not like star-studded, I feel good. There are starting safeties. They're one of the best in the league. No, they're not that type of guy. They're in the lower class of safeties, those two guys. So does Earl Thomas, is he better than them? Yeah, maybe he is. So, but the price is going to be, I think, the end of that conversation. What is Earl going to want? Will he be willing to maybe take a little less to go there, do that? Do the Cowboys have some guys at the corner position that maybe they can move to safety? I don't know, but it is one position you look at it in their team and go, it's not the best as compared to the rest of the roster, which is very impressive.
Well, it falls into the we'll see what happens category for Earl Thomas, the Cowboys, Earl Thomas, and anyone else, and we're into day 3 now of him being available, and there hasn't been any firm link between him and a new team. And I think any team that is even remotely interested realizes the thing to do at this point is let it simmer, let it stew, and if you are truly interested, you got a lot of homework to do. What happened in Seattle? What happened in Baltimore? And how do I avoid that from happening here? And one way to avoid it from happening, give Earl Thomas time to become humbled and to become maybe a little desperate, a little bit of that Cam Newton attitude where you think that the game is passing you by and you're being left on the side of the road. And that may be the thing that affects the kind of change necessary to get Earl Thomas back to being the kind of player and teammate that he once was.
Well, agreed. That's got to happen because the play is not at a level that's where you can accept that type of behavior off the field anymore. This is I had some arguments on social media about this yesterday and stuff with people. If Earl Thomas was still one of the 5 best safeties or 10 best safeties in football, he'd already be on a team. That would already happen. When you're that good, his laundry list of issues isn't long enough to where they I don't know. Like Antonio Brown didn't even make the Raiders or the Patriots blink. So his laundry, he had a way bigger list. But people could accept that because he was definitely in the conversation for one of the top 5 receivers in football. So that's where it's different here. And I know Earl Thomas has been such a household name, and he's a Hall of Famer and a legend and all those all those things. Not trying to, but like people are acting right now like, how could he be free? How could no team want him and just sign him immediately? Because when you turn on the film, it doesn't match what the guy was making. And then, like you said, to be kicked off a team, or what Pete Carroll said, that ain't a bad look. That's about as bad as it gets for a football player in the NFL. So that is going to cause some trepidation.
Yeah, other than Jerry Jones going out of his way to make sure the door is still slightly ajar at best in Dallas, what we've seen and heard in recent days, coaches saying, we're good. We're good with who we have. Your guy Kyle Shanahan said that yesterday, and my guess is Richard Sherman behind the scenes maybe trying to lobby a little bit for Earl Thomas if he was genuine in his tweet when Earl Thomas was let go by the Ravens, and maybe want to get the gang back together again, half of the Legion of Boom, whatever the case may be. Didn't work. Kyle's not interested. They're good with who they have, and that's what we're hearing. We're not hearing, well, we'll look at it, we'll talk about it, we'll see. We're hearing, no thanks, we're ready to move on.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.